So this here is probably the best maiden I've ever had of the best quad that, in my opinion, I've ever built. Until that crash right there. But it's really important to talk about because we're going to talk about what all is on this build. And more specifically, the most important thing, which are the Mr. Steel Ethix Stout V3 motors. 6S capable motors. 1800 kV, light. The only problem about these things is, of course, the $26.95 a piece price tag, but you just will not find a better motor. And in my opinion, I am a firm believer in that now. So this is pretty much my typical build these days. This is a version 3 Source 1, Flight 1 flight controller on there running Falcox, Hobbywing 60 amp ESC. This one has the Mr. Steel RUNCAM camera that you saw in a video of mine previously. I'll put a link to it up here so you guys can take a look at that. And the star of the show is the Stout V3s. And I guess the combination of 6S power and the S4 props. I've also ran this with S5 props. 4 is a good middle ground here. I've trimmed about as much weight off this thing as I can. And it still sets at 675 grams. If I put a lighter camera on there, because the RunCam Mini Swift 2 is a heavier camera. But the whole thing to talk about is just the Stout motors. Now, the pants are worth the price alone. That crash that you saw at the beginning, I had just dirt everywhere and I was able to just pull it right off. There was no dirt stuck in mud inside my motor bells that I had to worry about. These things do the job better than advertised. The motors are just beautiful when you look at them on the inside there, just how nice the windings and everything are. They feel just super nice and super quality in your hands. And you know, I'm kind of a budget guy these days when it comes to quads, especially a 5-inch that I'm not going to be flying a whole lot. But I wanted to spoil myself, and I figured if I was only going to build and have 1 or 2 5-inch quads, that I was going to put the best motors on them that I could. And that's the steel motors. That's what I wanted. I mean, there's just so many good things to talk about, like how well this thing flies. And really, I think the biggest thing is with these motors, they work so much better than other 6S motors that I've tried in the past, the more budget kind. There's none of that weird like power hump down at the bottom with this combination of prop and motor. They're super smooth and very linear as far as like their throttle response goes. And you can just see, like running with Falcox here, just how great the video is. You know, this is the second battery pack on this thing. Plug in the tune, ready to go, no problems at all. Typical Falcox, just doing everything right now. And you can see I even have plenty of control to like do a steel orbit in his honor, which this build was kind of inspired by. You know, where do you go from here when it comes to a 5-inch build? You know, you got to spend more money. If you want to get down to like that magic 620, 630 gram mark or lower, you still have to fly a session, which doesn't give you as good looking video if you care about that kind of stuff. And you need to have an expensive frame that comes with expensive hardware and everything like that, like the Apex. You know, that's how you get low. So I'll kind of stick with the better components and my $30 frame and just deal with it. Because if I really want to fly a super high performance machine, I'm going to be flying one of these little 3-inch quads that I've been flying, just because they just perform a lot better. They're a lot less stress and they are a lot cheaper to repair. Even though having this much power and authority is really nice, and just, I mean, you know, you see how things are with Flight 1, man. The whole thing is just an amazing experience.